Today's topic, the digital economy, an outlook, a discussion, a conversation. So why do I want to talk about, or why did I picked the title for today's live stream, Digital Economy? And the reason is because I think when we look back, for the last 18 months, we have seen changes through all areas of life, business, private, society, and so on. And I think we will not go back, meaning the changes that we have seen are probably here to stay. And I think we will also see a lot of changes over the next years. Therefore, I think it's only smart and important to think about how our more and more digital world, our more and more digital economy can and will look like. And therefore, I thought it might be a good topic for today's live stream. So I just want to make sure that everybody can see and hear me loud and clear, because especially LinkedIn did some changes to their live stream platform recently. So if you can see and hear me loud and clear, first of all, leave a like, hit the like button, the thumbs up button, and all the other buttons the different platforms have. But make sure to leave a comment, to say hi, to make sure that I am actually able to make sure that I can see your comments and say your questions, and of course to make sure that you can see and hear me. And as always, or if this is the first time you are joining this live stream, this is not a one-way conversation. I want to make sure, to have a conversation here, to answer your questions, to hear your thoughts and your ideas on the topic. And I think, the more brains we are and the more discourse, debate we have, the better for everybody. And therefore, feel free to use the chat function, feel free to ask your questions during the live stream. And of course, also if you're watching this as a replay, I will then try to answer it as soon as I can. All right, so let's have a look at the topics that I want to talk about today, or that I think are important when we want to talk about the digital economy, and when we want to talk about or have an outlook really over the next years. Basically 2021 is almost done, is almost finished, meaning we are almost in 2022. Therefore, I think it's probably a good time of the year, good part of the year to think about some strategic alignments for next year and for the years to come. So what I want to talk about today is, of course, about economy in general. Maybe we have a little top-down approach as usual. Maybe we have a look at the global scale and then dive a little deeper into the Caribbean. I also think it's super important to talk about not only about economy, but also about education, because at the end of the day, I think a strong economy is based on a strong education system that produces high quality workforce that can actually produce high quality products and services. So besides economy, we also need to talk about education when we talk about a digital society or digital economy. Then I think, I know that one of the fundamentals to be able to actually talk about digital society and digital economy is to talk about a digital infrastructure. because at the end of the day, without a stable internet connection, without a stable access to a stable high-speed internet connection, all of that is basically just theory. So we need to make sure that we talk about digital infrastructure, but not only that, from a technical standpoint, I think we also need to make sure that we talk about policies, that policymakers, lawmakers, that they set the right policies and that they make sure that the right policies are in place. So we need to touch a little bit on this one. And in the same area, we need to talk about public and government services, or the digitalization of public and government services, because I think, no matter which country you are living in, I think that's probably one of the areas or one of the industries, one of the verticals that is usually not really known for its innovation and progress in the digital space. So I think that is an area where a country can, or a society in general, can approve a lot of things. Let's put it like that. Then we need to talk, I think, about banking and financial services, cross-border payments, and so on. Still, for a lot of Caribbean countries, a bottleneck for growth or for expansion. So I think that's something that we definitely need to touch on. And then last but not least, I think we need to be aware, or need to put a focus on cybersecurity. And I think that's maybe one of the big blind spots right now for a lot of companies, a lot of organizations, and a lot of countries or governments, because the more and more a society becomes digital, the more and more people work from home, the more and more data about citizens is stored in a digital space. The more we need to talk about cybersecurity and the different layers and different aspects of cybersecurity to make sure that everybody that is moving in that more and more digital society actually knows how to behave and what to look for to make sure everybody is safe and we actually have a secure environment. All right. So, these were just a few of the topics that I want to touch on today. I hope we do not run out of time. So again, feel free to put your questions and your thoughts in the chat, in the comment section. I want to make sure not only to have a monologue here, but to have a conversation with you, and to make sure that you actually get the most out of these live streams, out of these conversations. And if you're watching this as a replay, feel free to drop a comment and to let me know what kind of topics you want to see, to be covered in future live streams, in future shows, or generally speaking, what questions you have that we maybe can answer in a future live stream, in a future conversation. All right, so when we talk about digital economy, I think, as I just mentioned, there are so many topics that we can and should talk about, that I think it's hard to actually find the right one to start with. So everything I'm going to talk about now, there's no specific order. I just want to share my thoughts, my ideas, and maybe, or hopefully, spark a conversation. And maybe it gives you a few points that you can think of in your day-to-day business, in your day-to-day life. All right, so let's talk about economies or digital economies. I think, or I like always to look at organizations or people that are already successful with what they are doing, and not just putting out ideas out of thin air, but actually look at what is working. Therefore, I think, especially when we look at the situation a lot of Caribbean nations have, meaning small islands, small land size, small population, and no real natural resources, then I think it makes sense to look at a country like Estonia. Similar situation, small country, small population. Got they got their independence also in not also, but got their independence in the 90s, and then basically had to figure out, all right, what is the business model? How do we build our economy? How do we build our society? And they focused early on a very digital approach. Basically they grew with the internet. That was also the time when personal computers and the internet got more and more more and more widespread through society and through through the world basically. So I think Estonia therefore is a very good example to use in that case, and therefore when we think about how do we structure an economy, what should the focus be in the actual output, I think the focus should be on in-demand services, meaning, I think the times where countries can actually make a lot of money or be profitable by selling physical goods are probably gone, meaning, the only really valuable goods or natural resources are probably energy resources like oil and gas and things of that nature. But besides that, I think there's no real business model or no sustainable income stream for a country if they only bet on a natural resource or agricultural products, for example. So therefore, we should focus on high quality or in demand services, meaning services that are in demand on the whole planet, meaning globally, because again, now we are competing with everybody on the planet that has an internet connection. On the one hand, that's a good thing because now you can literally do business with everybody on the planet. But of course, on the other hand, it also raises competition. So therefore, we need to make sure that we're not focusing on areas or services where is high competition that drives the prices down over sooner or later, but on areas that actually can demand high prices or stable prices over a longer period of time. And of course, we can have a long or big debate about which areas or which kind of services that actually can be. And I think, that's definitely an important debate, but maybe for another day. But generally speaking, I think, focusing on high quality, on in-demand services where people or companies are willing to pay top dollar for is important first step. And then on the product side, as I said a minute ago, I think, at least in my opinion, we will see a shift away from physical products and to more and more digital products, meaning that we're talking more and more about software, about IP, about apps, and so on. And that fewer and fewer countries actually will focus on production itself. So, for example, when we look at the most valuable companies in the world today, these are most often tech companies, meaning they don't really produce so much products and sell it, but rather provide a service, provide a software, social network, whatever, and make their money that way, which again, these are highly profitable business models because you have a low overhead. You need, only a few people to run it. The rest are just server costs. Therefore, these can be highly profitable business models. And I think as a general strategy, when we talk about the economic focus for a digital economy, I think as a general strategy, I think it's a smart idea just to make sure that you attract smart brains and businesses, meaning as a general rule of thumb to make sure, hey, what can we do to make a business-friendly environment, or not only business-friendly environment, but an economic environment that attracts the smartest people that then build one of the most successful, profitable businesses, however you want to call that, and therefore then help a whole society or help a whole economy to strive. So I think when we look at the economic side of things, and that doesn't really have to do only with the Caribbean, but I think globally, there are only a few states, countries that are actually able to produce or only focus on production and actually being able to produce on a low enough price to actually make a profit at the end of the day. So I think if you are a company or a country that is not able to produce for super low costs, then I think you should focus on the other end of the spectrum, meaning providing high quality and in demand services and manufacturing high quality digital products, software, IP, apps, and so on. All right, so I think before, or the next step when we talk about the digital economy is to make sure that, or the question then becomes, okay, how do we actually get a workforce that is able to provide these in-demand services, or how do we actually get people that are able to build these valuable products that are able to create code the software and so on. And I think therefore we need to talk about education. And I think even a few years ago, I think that our education system in the West was ready for disruption or basically outdated. We still were teaching our children with methods that are 150 years old and therefore not really relevant or adequate for today's society and environment. But I think, with the pandemic, with the changes that we saw in society over the last 18 months, I think now it's clear for everybody that, we need to reinvent or change our education system. So I think first and foremost, I think from an early age on, we need to teach children or the younger generation something that I would just call digital hygiene. I don't have a better word or term for that, but these are really the super basic things, how you behave in a digital environment, how you behave on social media, basic cybersecurity things, how you filter news outlets, where do you get your information, how do you verify sources, how do you manage your passwords, how do you manage your online banking, things of that nature, very basic stuff, how to prevent fraud, how to protect yourself against spam, scams, things of that nature, where we really can do a lot with very basic things that we teach children from a very young age. So I think, yeah, if we talk about education, I think, I don't have a better term for it, but I think, from elementary school on, or maybe even earlier, I think it's necessary to teach children something that I want to call, in lack of a better term, digital hygiene from now on. So just to have the basic necessary skills, to navigate in a digital world, to operate a smartphone, to operate a tablet, computer, do your business that you actually, or to be able to do the things you need to be able to do in today's modern environment to actually to participate in society. Yeah, that's basically the basic idea behind that. So digital hygiene starting point, and then I think maybe I'm wrong here. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think coding will be a requirement for basically, or should be a requirement for everybody that leaves school from now on. I think, to be able to code, to write basic pieces of software or edit basic software, these basic skills will be so relevant or being normal as being able to read and write. I think so. I think coding in general should be a basic requirement for our education system, or it needs to be a basic requirement for every society, for every economy that wants to make sure that the next generation is actually equipped with the right skills and the right educational skills to being able to compete in today's environment. Digital hygiene, I don't know if there's a better word. I'm open for suggestions, but I think that's a good starting point. Young people are more advanced in technology. I would agree to a certain degree. I think young people are more advanced in technology in terms of using it for educational, not educational, for entertainment purposes and so on. But, and of course, they are often more advanced than maybe a little older generation. But I think, especially when we talk about things like cybersecurity, things of that nature, or especially when you're talking about the business context, a lot of people are still not able to follow some basic guidelines or some basic rules. So I think we need to make sure that everybody, no matter the socioeconomic background, has basically some basic education in the digital space. And again, in lack of a better term, I think we can call that digital hygiene. Then besides that, again, I think coding should be probably mandatory for, I don't know, in high school or whatever, as meaning everybody that leaves high school or the equivalent in your country should be able to write and understand basic computer code, depending on the language that is most relevant in that situation. But I think that is probably a requirement. And then when we talk about the education system in general, meaning when we think about the current pandemic, I think we also need to think about how we actually change the system. Meaning, I think we will not go back to 100% face-to-face, or how do you say that, in-person system where you have one teacher in the front and then 25, 30 students in a classroom, and they're learning in that environment. I think these days are gone, rightfully so. I think that's a development in the right direction. Nonetheless, I think we need to have an open conversation about how can we make sure that the quality of the education system increases and not decreases, meaning that we have the right technology for everybody, meaning especially in the Caribbean, that people in the rural areas who maybe do not have an internet connection, how can they actually participate in maybe online classes? What about people, from a socioeconomic background that cannot afford, or not every child can afford in a family, a tablet, a laptop, or whatever, to a device to actually participate in the lectures, in the actual classes, and so on. So I think these are important questions that have to be answered, and therefore I think we will not see, or we shouldn't have, a 100% online education system. I think that will not work. But I think a kind of hybrid system is something that we will probably see in the future, meaning probably especially in younger ages, it probably makes sense to have a more in-person solution. Probably, children need more attention than, a little older teenagers, or maybe young adults. Therefore, I think we will see a hybrid system with in-person classes, in-person lectures, but also, video Zoom classes in a format like this one. And I think that can be the big advantage, or the big step forward in terms of flexibility of the lectures itself, meaning the materials. What are we actually teaching the next generation? I think it's way more flexible in an online environment, to adapt to the current relevant topics, and also way cheaper, because basically now, if you have an internet connection, and if you have a device, and if you say that's the minimal requirements, then now you can attend classes from the most the most famous schools or universities in the world for a fraction of the cost that it would be if you would actually attend in person. So I think education system needs to be kind of reinvented to make sure that we actually have enough supply of high trained and highly qualified labor force that actually can then fill in fill these high quality positions that we will see over the next years. And therefore, we need to make sure that the education system is actually set up to produce people with the right skills that are actually relevant for the next 10, 20, 30 years, and don't focus so much on what is or what was relevant over the last 10, 20, 30 years, because I think, we still look too much on what worked the last decades, and often lose a little bit of focus what will actually come over the next decades. We need stronger internet service in Jamaica for online classes. Definitely. I think that's generally speaking a problem for a lot of Caribbean states and island nations, that the internet connection often isn't strong, fast, and stable enough. So I know that is a problem, and I think that will be probably stay, or will be a problem for the next years. I still have some hope for some completely new technology, for example, like satellite internet, like Starlink from Elon Musk, that should be available in 2022, in some countries already in 2021, and that maybe will then hopefully will bring faster and more stable, more reliable internet access to rural areas, and hopefully stable enough and fast enough to be able to have online classes, and to make sure that the education system actually can catch up, or yeah, stay up to date with the current changes that we're having or seeing in the society and the complete global economy right now. All right, so we talked about economy, what yeah, a basic strategy or focus should be for Caribbean countries in terms of the focus of their economy, meaning less on products, less focus on tourism, more focus on high quality service and digital products. And we talked about that we need to update and innovate our education system, probably all over the globe. But I think that's a big opportunity for the Caribbean to make sure that the upcoming generation is equipped with the right skills, to actually fill these positions and make sure that the countries produce a high quality labor force that then can compete in a global economy. So Stacey, you already mentioned it, and that would be my next point: digital infrastructure. And as you said, one important point is a stronger internet service, or a stable internet connection in Jamaica is of course probably the major bottleneck right now. And digital infrastructure starts with a strong internet connection, of course. But I think a second important topic is, and I will touch on that a little later. But I think a second part of digital infrastructure are working or available online payment gateways, especially when we look at it from a business or from an economic perspective. Of course, without an internet connection, there are no online payments, there is no e-commerce, and so on. But assuming that most bigger or most medium-sized businesses and organizations in the Caribbean have access to a stable internet connection and are able to host a website and so on. The second bottleneck to be able to do proper business and to accept payments and do business with international and other companies is actually the ability to accept online payments, or the availability of online payment gateways. So I think these are the two bottlenecks when we talk about digital infrastructure, where I think we need to see some changes over the next years, meaning on the one hand, stable, available high-speed internet connection, and then on the other hand, available online payment gateways for small and medium-sized, and of course, not only small and medium-sized businesses, but usually bigger enterprises do not have these problems. So again, stable internet connection and online payment gateways. Besides that, I think one topic that we also need to talk about or to touch on when we talk about digital economy are the rules of the game, meaning the policies around the whole situation, meaning we need to make sure, and we're not we, I mean, in that case, policymakers, lawmakers, governments, and so on, need to make sure that the policies that are in place are actually, first of all, up to date and relevant for the 21st century, and in general that they are growth friendly and flexible. For example, when we look at a lot of laws that we have, and in almost every country, it's nothing specifically to do with the Caribbean, but when we look at a lot of laws, for example, in the copyright space, these laws are often made a few decades ago and are absolutely outdated for a digital world. For example, practical example, I still don't know when, for example, we talk about Jamaica, why it is not possible to get Spotify in Jamaica. I don't know the details about the copyright laws and policymakers behind that, but that, for example, is one example where some law, some policy prevents a company to do business in a complete country. And of course, there are dozens of other examples that make it hard for businesses to even do business there or do business or are compliant to the regulatories and the laws and the policies. So I think every country, every stage should look for growth friendly and flexible regulations. For example, to make it easy to register and start a business, get a bank account maybe, to make sure that there are certain safety regulations and standards from a regulatory perspective, so that everybody knows, okay, when I do business in that country, when I start a business in that country, there are some rules in place that everybody follows, and it's not the Wild West basically, or completely outdated rules. But then not only that, because I think we do not only make sure that we have these policies or laws in place and that they're actually relevant and that they can be changed if necessary. But I think another thing is that we also need to make sure that we actually enforce these policies, because there are a lot of regulations that are already in place, but they are just not enforced. Maybe because policymakers don't really care, or because it is technically very hard to enforce some of these regulations, or the policies were designed from the beginning not very clever, so that it's very hard to enforce them at the end of the day. So I think every country has their own problems and their own shortcomings here. But I think in general, the big advantage, again, that Caribbean nations have here is they are relatively small. They can make decisions relatively quickly. And I think that is something that they should use to their advantage, and to make sure, okay, how can we set up policies that they are friendly for businesses, that they attract investors, and that they are flexible, and we can change them and make sure that they are up to date, and that we are not have regulations that are updated the last time in the 70s or something like that. So I'm sorry I joined late. Can you repeat the description of a digital economy? That is a good question. I think the description of the digital economy, I think there is probably no universal description. Maybe you can type it into Google and see what Wikipedia says. I personally, when I talk about digital economy or think about digital economy or digital society, really, I think it's just everything, or just the awareness that more and more of our business interactions, of more of our day-to-day and daily personal and private interactions happen in a digital space. I mean, best example is you and me right now. We have a conversation through a live stream, through a webcam, through YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever platform you're watching right now, and over thousands of miles away. And I think that becomes more and more normal for people. For example, I think over the last years, really over the last 10, 20 years, everything digital or internet, or however you want to call it, was most of the time, or a big part of it, was limited to the entertainment sector. meaning we're talking about music, we're talking about the internet in general, surfing, streaming music. Now we're talking about streaming videos. Now we're talking about the metaverse. I don't know how to pronounce that, meaning we shifted over the last 20 years our social life and our entertainment and private life more and more into the digital space. And I think we're now at the point, accelerated through the COVID-19 pandemic, that also a big part of the economy is now following and moving into a more digital space. For example, we see that people working more and more from home. We see more and more automation. We see more and more AI. We see blockchain solutions as a complete new technology rising, things of that nature. So I think, all these things are under the kind of broader term digital economy or digital society. And that's why I touched on some of the topics that I think are some of the facets or some of the aspects of digital economy or a digital society, because I think it's not just explained in a sentence, but it really touches on almost every aspect on our day-to-day life or on how we do business together. Another question is, can you explain NFTs and the NFT market? I could, but not today. I think this format today is not the right time and place. But if you check the other videos and live streams on the YouTube channel, a few weeks ago we had a very long and in-depth conversation, live discussion with a few panelists, where we talked about NFTs, what is an NFT, how you can buy it, sell it, and the pros and cons and what you need to be aware of. So feel free to check that video. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the bell notification. Then you also get notified whenever we release a new video or whenever we go live. But NFTs, to make it really short, NFT stands for non-fungible token. It's basically a way to tokenize, to unify a digital file, meaning an MP3 file, an MP4 file, a JPEG, a PDF document, whatever it might be. And instead of copying it, that's basically what you always do with a digital file. For example, when you send an email or when you send someone a file, you always make a digital copy of that. And when you create an NFT, meaning a non-fungible token, a non-copyable thing out of that, then you basically have the opportunity now to make digital originals. And that's then, for example, in the art space now, where we see an NFT market developing, meaning people create digital art, a song, a JPEG, picture, whatever it might be, turn that in an NFT, meaning turn that into the original, and then they sell that on blockchain marketplaces or NFT marketplaces like OpenSea and so on. And that's basically the short version about NFTs and NFT markets. Again, there's way more about that, and you should make sure to educate yourself before you get active in that space. But again, a few weeks ago, we had a conversation or a live discussion here on that channel or on the YouTube channel. That you can see here. If you type that into YouTube, you should find it. And with people that are way more educated and know way more about NFTs and blockchain than I do. So if you want to learn more about NFTs and blockchain and crypto and so on, make sure to check the other videos on that channel or other live streams. I hope that answered your question so far. Again, everybody listening or watching, or everybody that just joined, feel free to put your question in the chat, in the comment section. Your thoughts, your opinion, whatever you think is important enough to share. More than interested in your thoughts. And today's topic is the digital economy, an outlook, a conversation, a discussion, meaning, what is a digital economy? How will it develop over the next years, and what can we actually do to position ourselves, our organizations, our businesses, in the best possible way, to be in a good position for the next years. So we talked about how an economy should position itself. Generally speaking, we talked about the education system, talked about digital infrastructure, and we talked about policies and the need for growth-friendly and flexible policies in every country. And then another area where I think, where I think especially Estonia can work as a good example here, is a digital government or digital public and government services. I don't know about you, but usually, when I have to do anything with any government service, that usually results in half a day or a day of work. You have to go to the agency, you maybe have to make an appointment, you have to take a day off and just waste a lot of time there to usually often just get something signed, or you leave with the information that you do not have all the right paperwork and you have to get back home, get another paper, and you know what I'm talking about. Usually, not a very pleasant experience when we talk about government agencies and government services. So I'm talking about things like tax returns. I'm talking about things like IDs, driver's license, voting, maybe, healthcare, education, all these things where public services are involved. When we look at, again, a country like Estonia, all these things are completely digitalized, meaning you literally can do them from your computer, from everywhere where you have an internet connection. The only three things that you cannot do, that you actually have to go to the agency in person, is to get married, to get divorced, and to buy real estate. Basically, everything else, you can do without entering an agency. You can do completely online and completely digital. Just think about the amount of time that is saved here, the amount of money that is saved here, the amount of nerves and stress that you avoid, and generally speaking, the efficiency. Think about how more efficient a society is, or a government is, public services are, when all these things are automated or online available. When you can do your tax returns in a few minutes instead of a few weeks or a few months. When you immediately know, okay, how much tax do I have to pay, or how much tax return do I actually get? Same with when you want to register a business, when you move, when you have to get a new address, all these little things that are kind of time consuming and annoying could easily be automated, and our complete public and government services could be made way more user friendly. Let's put it that way. Next sector or next area that I think need to be set up properly, or maybe need to change in some ways to be actually able, or not able, but to be actually prepared and ready for the next years, is the banking and financial services sector. And I think especially when we're looking at the Caribbean, that is probably one of the sectors with the most potential. Because I think a lot of North American or a lot of European countries or organizations already have a very stable banking sector where we see more and more fintechs popping up and offering more and more sophisticated services. But I'm when I talk about banking services in the Caribbean, I'm not only talking about banking services, I'm also talking about things like cross-border payments, things like being able to open a bank account. Very, very simple things, but of course also a little bit more sophisticated or complicated things that usually take a lot of time and resources. For example, things like applying for a loan. In most banks or most countries, you still have to go into the bank. You have to talk to a person. You have to provide a lot of documents, and it takes a lot of time till you actually get the yes or no and the amount of money that you actually can get when you apply for a loan, no matter if it's a business context or in a private context. But with the right software and with the right user interface, a lot of that process can be done online, meaning you can do the complete screening, the complete risk assessment, and so on can be done through a software, can be done through automation. And then at the end, when all the check marks are green, then the customer just gets a little checklist with, okay, assuming all the information you gave us are correct. Now we need that data from you, that documents, whatever it is, in normal paper form or as a scan, and send that via email or whatever it is. And then this last step only needs to be in paper or in person or whatever it is. So again, a lot of potential cost savings, and you can speed up the process. You can increase the customer experience for everybody involved. Same with open a bank account. I think, of course, that is also tied very closely to a digital government, meaning are there available electronic or online ID services. For example, if you have a government ID that is able to verify you electronically, then you also can open bank accounts online, things of that nature. Of course, things have to work together to a certain extent here to make them work. But I just want to give you some ideas or some viewpoints to get an idea how we can actually benefit from all the technology that we see developing in the different areas. And of course, paying and receiving money online, I think that's kind of a no-brainer and important, no matter if you are seeing it from a personal, from a private perspective. When you want to send someone money or receive money, you want to do that as quick and easy as possible through your phone, through online banking, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, whatever. And of course, equivalent in the Caribbean. Or of course, in a business context, if you're actually running direct-to-consumer brand, a retail company, and you want to start selling your products online, you want to tap into e-commerce, you need to make sure that you have proper and solid payment gateways so that your customers can actually pay online, use their credit cards, and so on. All right. So, last but not least, again, we talked about economy, education, digital infrastructure, policies, public and government services, banking, and cross-border payments, and all of that is important. But I think one final point that I want to make, that I think is becomes more and more important the more online and the more digitalized our whole society and economy becomes, is the topic cybersecurity. Again, we had it a little earlier, Stacey, when we talked about digital hygiene. I think, yeah, that is basically the starting point to make sure that the younger generation learns from an early age on, okay, how do I actually behave in a digital environment? And I'm really talking about simple things. I mean, I'm really happy that when I was younger, smartphones, social media, digital cameras, and so on weren't available as they are today. Just to avoid some embarrassing pictures that otherwise wouldn't be available on social media right now. So, meaning things of that nature. How do I actually how do I behave online? How do I curate my digital footprint, my digital image, my personal brand? When I want to apply for a job later on, maybe I shouldn't have the drunk party pictures on whatever social media account is then relevant. Because again, once it's out there online, it's out there forever. You can't get it back. So that's a starting point. Digital hygiene to give the younger generation, give kids an understanding and awareness, a sense for the risks that are involved when we're talking about the internet. But besides from that, I think it's sometimes really surprising to me how little attention a lot of companies, a lot of organizations pay to cybersecurity or their security, the online security in general, especially over the last 1 or 2 years, where more and more people started working from home, where more and more applications move to the cloud and are no longer on premise, where people log in from different computers, different devices, different accounts with different email addresses, changing passwords, and so on. I think these risks became even bigger over the last years, and they will become bigger. When we do more and more finance stuff and banking online, we need to make sure that we do that in a safe way. Not only we as end consumers are doing that in a safe way, but also we as business people, as executives, as strategists, when we set up our infrastructure in our own business, our own organizations, that we make sure that we have the right security systems in place from a structural standpoint and also from a technological standpoint. And I think same here, it starts with education. I think we need to make sure that in every onboarding process, for example, for every new employee, for every new business process, for every new business division, for every new project that we start, that we have some rules in place, that we have some standardized processes in place that that everybody follows to make sure that we follow the right security protocols. And because what I often see is that there are no protocols in place, and everybody just does their own thing, and everybody hopes that this is enough, and that there will be no major hack or security issue or whatever it might be. So I think education is the first step, meaning on the one hand, make sure that we have protocols in place that are standardized, that are easy to follow, and everybody knows about them. And then, of course, to make sure that people understand the risks that are in your system, the risks that are in your data, the risks that are in your technology, and so on, and that they understand how to handle it and how to prevent them or avoid them whenever possible. And what I realized is that when I how do I say that? When I was talking in the past about cybersecurity, I had often more the impression that, or no, let me rephrase it. I think most people focus too much on the technology and is the encryption high enough and things of that nature. And to be honest, that's often not the weak point. The most hacks or the most security breaches happens because of the human factor, because of the human error, because someone writes down a password, or a server isn't password protected, or someone downloads user data and has it unprotected on a server or an USB stick or whatever it is. So I think it is way more important to teach people, employees, and so on about the processes and about the principles of cybersecurity and security, and the human factor and social engineering and things of that nature, than the actual technical part. Because I think a lot of organizations, a lot of people, maybe even the little older generation, kind of hesitates or is a little bit afraid of that topic, because I think it's very complicated and the technology, is not very easy to understand. So it might be a little repelling for them. But I think when we help people to understand and just follow some basic principles, some basic ideas, some basic protocols, then you probably already have done 95% of the work. And if you then have a proper framework, a proper cybersecurity setup and structure, then you should be set. But I think as a general rule of thumb, cybersecurity is a topic that should be on every agenda for every organization, for every company in 2022 and beyond, because it just becomes too important. And the more digital your organization, our society, the whole economy, the whole world becomes, the more vulnerable you are also in that space. So in the same way the whole area is growing, you also need to make sure that you protect yourself, your assets, your employees, and of course, your customer and your customer data. All right. So I think we just cracked the hour. Let me recap really quick and use the opportunity to maybe answer one or two other questions that we might have. By the way, these are all the social media handles where you should be able to find me. So if you haven't done so as yet, make sure to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's usually the social media platform where you can get me the easiest way and get in contact or catch me the best. Of course, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Maybe you can catch me on Twitter or sometimes also on Instagram. But again, best way is to connect with me on LinkedIn and to subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right, so real or quick recap. What is digital economy, or how should we prepare our organizations, ourselves, or maybe as society, as countries, for the next years, for a more and more digital economy and a more and more, and a more and more digital society and economy. So, and as I said earlier, there are a lot of aspects that we have to be aware of, or a lot of facets that we can talk about, that we need to prepare ourselves when we talk about digital economy or digital society. So I think in general, we need to, when we talk about economy, I think generally speaking, we should focus on more in-demand services, move a little away from production, meaning production, producing products, producing agricultural produce, or even tourism. I think these sectors, these industry are not really sustainable long term, especially for Caribbean nations. We should, from an economic perspective, maybe have a look at Estonia. I think that's a country that can work as a role model here. We should focus more on digital products, digital solutions, digital services, software, apps, IP, things of that nature. And as a general strategy, make sure or try to attract as many as possible, many smart brains and many smart people as possible that then build the future unicorns, the future successful companies and organizations that then help the whole economy or society thrive. Of course, to make that happen, we need to have a solid education system. We need to make sure that upcoming generations are trained and equipped with the right skills. We have to talk about digital hygiene, that the younger generation from a very early age learn how to handle, how to navigate in a digital world. I think, as normal as writing and reading should be coding. That should be probably a mandatory mandatory skill that should be taught in school. And therefore, I think, we need to talk about not complete revamp, but update of our education system away from only in-person, outdated 150-year-old model in more to a hybrid model where we have online segments and in-person segments, and basically get the most out of both, or the best out of both worlds. To make that happen, of course, we need to have a digital infrastructure, primarily stable, available, high-speed internet connections, and of course, cross-border payments, meaning the access for everybody to do business online, to have a bank account online, to accept payments online, and so on. We need to make sure, or on the policy level, on a policymaker, on the law level, we need to make sure that the policies that are in place are, on the one hand, growth friendly, that they are attracting new business, new investors, but that they are also flexible, meaning that they are up to date, that they are actually relevant for today's society and for today's technology, and that they can be changed quickly if necessary. I think, it's not really realistic to have regulations in place and don't change them for decades. I think we need to have a more flexible model, or more flexible system, more flexible policies in place here. Then I think, public and governmental services are one of the main areas of improvement. Tax returns, driver's license, ID, voting, healthcare, education. All of these processes where you usually have to go to a government service, to a government agency, and spend a lot of time there, can be automated, can be digitalized, and can be ideally done from home, from your computer, as long as you have an internet connection. What else? Banking and cross-border payments. Of course, I think the banking sector, cross-border payment sector, financial services sector has to. There's a lot of room for improvement, especially in the Caribbean, where we have a lot of underbanked people. A big part of the population doesn't have access to bank accounts. It's a big problem, or very high hurdles to apply for a loan, to open a bank account, or generally speaking, to just pay and receive payments online on a private level and on a business and corporate level. I think there's a lot of room for improvement in that area. And then last but not least, we talked about cybersecurity. Again, that we need to make sure that the more our society, the more our economy lives in a digital space, that we protect that, that on the one hand, we have the right technology and the right encryption in place, but that's only half of the equation. The other one is to make sure that, everybody is educated enough to make sure that you're actually able to use the tools properly. Again, you can have the best protected home. If you do not know how to use the key and actually lock the door, then all that technology is useless. Same in the digital space, you can have the best encrypted and best protected technology, server, whatever. If you leave your password somewhere open or share it with the wrong person, then it's still not safe. So education, super important. And then of course we also need to make sure that we have the right data protection and right privacy protection laws and regulations in place. So I think we're almost over, or we are over the hour. And thanks, Denise. Always, as usual, great presentation, Simon. Solid points highlighted. Thank you very much. Great to hear that. It was helpful for you, and that it's maybe you could learn something. Feel free to leave a like, or I think in LinkedIn there are a lot of other icons, claps, and light bulbs and whatever that you can use. I always appreciate that feedback. That is usually the best way how you can support the show. Share it with other people, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if we haven't done so as yet, connect with me on LinkedIn. So again, I think there are so many topics that we can actually or have to talk about when we talk about digital economy, when we talk about the future of a digital society. I touched on a few of them that I think that are important. I think every topic, every subtopic, we could probably talk a few hours about that. Nonetheless, I want to end it at this point. Feel free to make some topic suggestions, questions that you might have, topics for future live streams. I'm always more than happy to get feedback or to get some input from you guys. Again, I want to make this not only a one-way conversation, but as beneficial as possible for everybody. And the more you share your thoughts, your feedback, or what you actually want to see and talk about, the more I can tailor that to your needs. So that's it from my side. I'm looking forward to your feedback, to your thoughts, especially when you're watching this as a replay. Usually, I go live Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Jamaican time. So that's usually a good way to catch these live streams. That being said, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done so as yet, subscribe, leave a like, and I hope to see you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.